Hello, everyone. Okay, I don't know if we're live. If we are, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching that live stream. So, first of all, I wanted to thank everyone who's been playing the game since the beginning of the alpha. That was 5 months ago, I think, or 4 months ago. Thank you very much. Also for the ones who've been playing the past few days. It was for us incredible feedback. Looks like we are getting there. It's pretty awesome. We had some very good games. So a few issues came out from the last tests and a few balanced things. So we'll discuss that mostly today. So we'll focus not on what is working, but what is not working. So I'll review with you the most common bugs and their statuses. I'll review also a bit the battle with you, how it works, just to make sure you have everything you need to understand how the battle works. And of course, I will try to answer as much as I can all your questions, as usual, so when you're connected, of course. But the stream will be much shorter than usual, so probably like 30 minutes to give us time to work on the game and ship it in 3 days from now. Okay, cool. So now let's start with the bugs. Okay, so I made a little list, so I can check. So the most important issues you guys reported in the past couple of days were mainly linked to items. Many of you were either confused by not being able to equip the items, or you were confused by a bug, actually. That was actually you couldn't equip quest items sometimes. So let's look a bit at the items. One of the biggest rules is that you cannot equip items outside of your frontiers. So when you try to equip something and you were outside of your frontiers and it didn't work, at least you know why, and it was not a bug. But I agree that it is confusing. The tooltip itself is pretty confusing. Actually, it's not confusing. It's just it's very small, and it's easy not to pay attention. That the tooltip is telling you that actually you can't equip these items because you are not at home. So you need to be in friendly territory to be able to equip your stuff. Now we had another bug that we have fixed actually today, thanks to your reports, which is that you couldn't equip some quest items, especially after equipping it before. So that is fixed. We are testing it now and hope to fix it with you guys pretty soon. Okay, that is mostly the main issues for the items. Some other stuff that you guys mentioned, as you noticed, when you equip an item in your territory on your hero, what you see is an industry cost on the items, which is linked to what you would have to pay in industry cost if it was on the unit. But as you don't build heroes, that cost is actually translated in dust, which that you will see at the bottom right of the screen when you want to apply your equipment on your hero. And you can apply as many items as you want on a hero as long as you are in your own territory. It will just cost you dust. It could cost you a lot of dust if you do that a lot and often. So it's a matter of choice to do it or not do it. Anyway, that is it for that part of the most common bugs. We have another one that you guys reported, which was sieging. Often what could happen to you guys where you are inside a siege and you want to break out of the siege, you make an army and you want to attack the attacking army. Well, apparently it seemed that often what happened is your attacking army was left your defending army that wanted to break out the siege was left with no action point. And you need in the game always one action point to do an attack. What is an action point? An action point is the opportunity for you to do one battle in one turn. You cannot do more than that. For now, we only use action points for that, although if you mod the game, you realize that we planned that to be used for many other reasons. But for us, we only kept battles, one battle a turn. That was a bug in terms of sieging. If that happens to you, sorry for that. We'll fix it for the next build. You wouldn't have that happening to you anymore. If wanted to discuss very quickly about the siege, you'll notice that when someone lays a siege, you stop receiving all your revenues from the tiles around the city walls. So it's a lot of revenues that you don't receive anymore. So basically, it's this pretty big penalty. And you have two ways to break the siege: by outside. You can have an army from outside coming, attacking the sieging army, or from inside, when you have troops inside, to create a new army. Then it appears in the new city center, and from there you can attack the sieging army. In both cases, if you attack from outside, you will have your troops from within the city helping you out to break the siege, and vice versa. Notice also that your troops within the city, they have the city defense bonuses, and the city defense bonuses are added to the life of the defender. So actually, if you don't siege for a long time a defender, they will have a lot of extra life, and that can really help the defender. So the only way to reduce that is to have a long siege, and each turn you will reduce that bonuses, depending on how many troops you have and which level all the troops are, or if you have specific equipment on your units. That will be all for Siege for today. I will see if we have another question from Killing Big Bugs. What the fact multiplayer still ain't optimized for global play or even the same side of the world? Not sure to understand your question, Killing Bugs. What I understand is normally you should be able to play anywhere in the world. Someone could be in Australia, another one could be in France. You shouldn't have distance limits, which by default you may have on some of Steam Power games. So anyway, we removed all restrictions of distance. If it's not the case, let us know. It's true that maybe we haven't tried all kind of distances. So let me know if you can't play with someone which is very long distance with you, but you should not have limitations due to distance. Latency will affect your experience if you have too high latency. I played with people yesterday. I played with someone with Canada, and we were two in France, and we had no latency. Didn't feel it. Definitely had latency because of distance, but didn't feel it. Anyway, if you have anything on that sense, please let us know if you feel latency, if you have any issues with distance. But it's true that it's like all these games. You need a correct connection with no data loss and as little as possible latency to the guys you're playing with. Kill Megabugs, you were saying that you were not able to play with someone in America or with friends. Anyway, I was able to play with someone in Canada yesterday, so I know that works and was on the public. Okay, that's odd. Okay, Kill Megabugs, the most info you have about your gameplays multiplayer would be interesting. Please come report them on the forums, and we'll try to help you out. Especially, we know we have a few desyncs in multiplayer. We have two ones that we fixed, and they were the last ones we were hunting for. One which is linked to different languages. For example, if you are playing in French, someone else was playing in English. We had desyncs because of that. It was totally stupid. Sorry for that. This is fixed. And we had another desync which was linked to the ardent mages when placing pillars near cities and having districts on top of them. Anyway, that also was creating a desync, and this is fixed. And as far as we know, we don't have any left. But in new build, you still have these desyncs going up. If you want to minimize that, avoid ardent mages in your games and play all in the same language. Okay, I'll move on a bit, and then after I'll try to see to answer some of your questions. Okay, I've seen a few questions about Cold War. How does it work? Basically, Cold War is a very simple system that we use already in endless space. What it means is you are more or less in a state of war, but in your territory, no one can attack you unless they declare war. So it's a way to be able to attack any trespassers in your territory. You can, for free, attack them. Well, it doesn't mean they will appreciate it. Probably they will not. AI will not be, very kind to this kind of aggressions, but you can do it for free, and they can't do it. So it's very interesting systems, and of course, anyone can attack anyone in neutral territory. So that's how it works. It just is kind of this kind of gray area between war and peace that we wanted to reproduce with this system. So if you don't want to have anyone in your territory, the best is to have a closed border, and then you will eject all foreign units from your territory, unless you are in alliance, and then you won't have a closed borders. You will just remove it. Okay, that was it for the. I hope it made it clearer from some of you. Looking at some more questions. Oh yes, a lot of actually. I should have even started by that. One of the biggest comments you guys all had was about balance with minor factions. We spent already, and we're spending a lot of time tuning the units. It's true that we revamped a bit the system, the combat system. Was mainly, how we were using randoms or not randoms. We're not using random before, now we're using random. We also want to work more with how attack and defense work together. We're refining all that, and of course we're reviewing all the units. In the units, you will have overall in the game a fair balance between all the units. We don't really want to make the major factions stronger or weaker than the minor factions, because every unit from a minor faction will one day possibly be a unit of a major faction. For us, I always see, for me, my major factions as being a combination of all these units I can integrate to my empire. So there need to be a balance between all these units, from major factions and minor factions. Internally, we consider some being regular units. These are the most common ones. Some we consider them as being veteran units, and others, a few ones, like the Hounds, for example, as elite units. Obviously, having a Hounds in your region will be more difficult to assimilate than having, other units like the Sisters of Mercy, which tend to be pretty easy. They are really great at helping you, but great support unit, probably one of the best support units in the game, but definitely not good at defending itself. So it will be easier for you to assimilate these ones. The Hounds will be difficult, but once you have them, okay, they will be expensive to build, but they will be a really, really good unit to assimilate. Anyway, we're reviewing all these numbers. We are finishing that at the moment. And we are going to have the VIP test that tonight if they can or want in a private build. So, we don't make things worse. Maybe if we did something bad, we have a little time to try something out, tomorrow and the day after. Anyway, we'll tune until the very last minute. So anyway, that's what we'll do. There are a few other things that we didn't do very well. Was also how we balanced the equipment, especially progression of some of this equipment, including weapons, meaning that sometimes we could do really weak damage, especially over time. So that was bad. We're working on that to make it, so damage increases as much as life increases during the game. So we're working on that also as well for tonight. That's yeah. Oh yes, and units abilities. Unit abilities are many of them are still based on the last system. So many of them feel a bit useless, helpless. Anyway, not good. So we are working on that as well to adapt them to the new system. And okay, a lot of questions, guys. Maybe I'll take a question of you, and then you know what I'll do is I will go through how the battle works exactly, the new system, and I already made a post hidden somewhere in the Games Together sub forums, and only a few of you have seen. So I will just talk about how they work. But first, I will answer a question from you guys. Shazio7, any chances you were thinking of making? Okay, so you were wondering if we had any changes thinking of for the blizzard weather that cycles throughout the map. So I guess you're talking about the weather, the winter. So as far as as I know, for the release of the game, the winter is how it will be for the release. Of course, we're more than welcome to listen to your feedbacks and work more on it. The winter for us is a very important part of the game. We love, how we move from, you're getting used to your little summer, then winter comes, and you always have these little random effects you don't know that you have to discover, and each time you will have to adapt your strategy to this new winter. And as all these effects are being cumulative from winter to winter, at the end of the game, sometimes you have a very different experience because of that. It's good also to keep in mind that some people are what we call summer people, and other people are what we call winter people. Not all people suffer as badly from the winter than the others. So it's always interesting when you pick your faction to try to see if you want to try to play a winter people or a summer people. When you want to have your strength, do you want to try to actually be better than the others in the winter, to try actually to even do your attacks in the winter, or actually only stick to summer people that will be most of the time better, especially at the beginning of the game. But as you notice, the winter becomes harsher and harsher, throughout the game. So actually, winter people could actually benefit also from being better at the end of the game. So it's a matter of choices. Okay, another question from Dark Messiah. A couple of the factions weren't animated in the faction overview in-game screen. No, it's not a bug. It's just because we didn't finish it for that version that you had. It will be finished for the release of the game. So it's some of them took longer than expected, and that's why we couldn't ship them at the last minute for last Thursday, was it? Yeah, Thursday. Okay, so move on to the battle system, how it works, what to keep in mind. So, okay, we have tuned a bit more, and will tune a bit more even after release, but we are tuning, and we're getting closer to what we want to see. Right now, the way it works, you could expect that when you see an attack close to a defense, that basically you'll be on what we consider as being a normal repartition of damage. As an attacker, the one who hits will most likely hit more often. At same defense and attack, you will have roughly 40% chances to do normal damage, 10% to do critical damage, 40% to do what we call a fumble or half damage, and 10% to do defense. Critical defense meaning you will not do a single damage. Right now you see in the game it's a 1 point. The reality is actually it's 0. It's just a roundup that's not showing as it should. Anyway, so that's the basic. If you go to twice the defense, you will hit every time, and most of them will be normal hits, and the ones that are not normal hits will be critical hits. And if you go to half the defense, your attack being half the defense, it will be the other way around. It's like 20% will be critical defense, 80% will be a fumble. So you will most likely hit, but not as much as you could. That's the basics of the system that we're refining at the moment. Just the mechanic behind that, and we're tuning all the numbers around that. And it's pretty also easy for us to easier than other systems to balance out. Okay, so things to take into account that your attack or your defense will be modified by a few factors. The main one is height. When I'm higher than you, I will have 30% extra on my attack. When I am in a forest, I will have 30% extra on my defense. When I am close to my units, other friendly units, I will have a bonus on my morale. Morale increases for each point 15% both of my attack and my defense. So if I have 2 units close to me, I will have 2 points of morale, giving me like 30% extra attack and defense. So if I have 2 points of morale and I am higher than you, I will have 60% to my attack. So I will most likely hit you. Well, it depends where my attack lands compared to your defense, but my attack could be very good thanks to that, and therefore I could do very good damage. Well, just because I would most likely pass a normal damage or do a critical hit. But it will not change the actual value of the damage. The actual value of the damage is your unit damage, which is comprised of your original damage for your unit and your weapons and some of your equipment that will modify the damage. Then modified by your and then only other thing actually that modifies that is if you do critical damage, a fumble, or if you do a critical miss. Then you have one element that definitely modifies your damage, is the weapon you use. And then some weapons have Knight Slayer, like spears, for example. Spears are good against all cavalries. Bows are good against all flying units. If you use swords, they are really good against all melee units. If I use what else? We have hammers. Hammers will actually don't have a damage bonus, but what they have is they stun units, 20% default, and then can go up if I go higher up. So choosing the type of weapon on your units, depending on the type of units your enemies have, is very important because it can really affect the damage you will do. Okay, so you can do some pretty cool stuff in the way you equip your units, choosing the weapon, choosing, if you want to work a lot on your defense to make sure, the enemy can not pass easily their attacks. If you want to, I don't know, it will be up to you, you have some specific stuff like, to move faster, better vision for scouts. If you want to create scouts at the early game, I always create a few units with the scouts to easily see with cheap units, my terrain around me. So anyway, a lot of possibilities. A few other questions. Which ones? From Diamondius. Okay, yes. Okay, you're asking, Diamondus, if the Broken Lords are broken, basically, because people have been saying, a few people have been saying that they're broken. Yes. Well, it's true that at one point it was too easy for us to buy a lot of populations on the Broken Lords, but we tuned the economy differently to make it harder to get dust. So maybe now it's too hard to buy the higher levels of Broken Lords units populations. So as you guys all know, the Broken Lords, they don't have food, they only have dust, and they can only buy with dust their units. So yes, we need to maybe look again at the numbers of the Broken Lords, definitely. But I wouldn't say they're broken. Well, it's just for the end game, it could be really hard. Other questions from the community? Okay, so what I'll do is I wanted to also, and then we'll stop on that. I wanted again to thank many of you for reporting bugs, and I wanted to, if you want to help us, there are a few things you can do that really could help us. There's one thing which is extremely stupid, but that would be real nice of you guys if you can do it. When you register your game to the forums, you will have a little pictogram showing close to you. And for us, what this means is that you are playing the official version of the game and the latest version of the game, obviously. And it will avoid us sometimes, we could waste time on trying to track a bug from someone who's not playing the official version, and actually their bug is only because it's a cracked version, and then we spend a lot of time trying to understand, and then we realize it's because they have not clean version of the game, or they're playing because of that they're playing an older version of the game that where the bug has been fixed already and cannot be reproduced anymore. Right away when we see that you have the little pictogram close to you, we know that there's no questions. You're on this version. We can just directly try to reproduce your bug if you have it, which you have it. So that's one thing. Then a few other things on how to report the bugs that you have. We have two or three main type of bugs. The worst ones, but that I hope are rarely happening. If the game crashes to desktop, that's extremely rare, but that may happen. If that does happen, you will have in your Steam game folder, in our game folder in your Steam library, a little strange folder with like numbers. It's more or less a date and time, whatever. And we have all the files needed to try to understand what happened. If you can, please tell us what you were doing before it crashed. If you just send us that file, it's already great, but if we don't know what you were doing before, it doesn't help us much, especially if so we need to understand what you were doing, and so we can try to reproduce the same situation and probably have you bug again. It's the best way for us to make sure we can fix it for you. Sometimes, I've read and I discussed with some of you guys of some bugs that you're encountering, and you are sometimes just talking about it as if it was an obvious bug, and you don't take the time to describe it, and you could be frustrated. This bug, it's awful, and actually maybe no one else reported that bug before you, and please report it again unless you know that someone else reported it, and then the best is if you can just refer to their post, and that will help us. Then when you are the first one to report the bug, or even if you're not sure you want to report it again, it's great anyway. Description of what you are doing. If you didn't crash, a save game. So save game before, save game after, save game during maybe the bug occurring. For example, like someone really helped us with a siege bug. Just sending us a save when you could use and use the save game. We're having the bug, easy to debug, fixed. So we can really go quickly if you can do that. So that's basically it. Anyway, all what I just said, Stephanie has a thread in the technical support forum asking you or telling you guys how you can help us, basically, with reporting bugs and with all these steps reminded to you. Thank you very much, everyone. I don't know if maybe there's a last question. No, nothing more. Okay, trying to read your... all you said. Okay, no, just chatting. Okay, cool. So anyway, thank you very much. We'll be there Monday again. So after the release, I hope you'll be numerous so we can discuss, the rules of the game. Probably, balance things, you guys want to discuss, if any issues arise after the release, especially, I guess, with a lot of players coming in, we'll have issues. I count on you to receive well, the new players, and try to share some of the knowledge you have of the game already, and to continue to make it this very positive community that we have. Thank you very much, guys. Bye bye.